or try anything else. I believe he will play very aggressive again and try to force Tom to make those mistakes again. But as Tom also said, he's more warm now. He's not going to make those mistakes again. And if he doesn't do that, it comes down to who is the most brilliant with the ball.
Well, here we go. It's the grand final then, what we've all been waiting for here. The Summer Cup Series, the European Regional. And for Olilito, it's simple. He just needs to win 2 legs of FIFA, or across 2 legs of FIFA. It's somewhat more difficult for #Tom, who has to win across 2 best-of-2s, but he almost gives away an opportunity, and he does, and it's going to be an opener here. R9 slams it home, and it is yet again another early mistake from #Tom.
And we keep speaking about it. I don't know. I'm starting to think that it's just Ollelito who's amazing at this, pressing it. Like, you can't keep doing those mistakes. I'm pretty shocked right now because I didn't expect this start to the game. I thought like Tom would have that under control for now, but I think it's nice to see a goal from the very beginning, which means that both players will definitely open up.
Certainly will open up this game, and Tom mentioned in the losers bracket final, it doesn't matter who gets that first goal, whether it's him or his opponent. He always feels like he's still going to be in it, but I can't help but feel that's going to hurt his confidence somewhat, as Olilito again will stride forward now with R9 to Eusebio, and there is going to be a man in the middle if he wants to go for a little cross, but quite rightly will recycle the play, go back to the middle of the pitch, and maybe Tom trying to replicate what Olilito has been doing to him and pressing a little bit to try and win the ball back. But here's R9 again. He's going to be able to smash it. No, he's not. Vieira will step in the way this time.
And Tom doesn't want to think now that, like, oh, this is going to be a repeat of what happened. And you can start, perhaps get these small thoughts. I doubt that Tom already got them, because when you're at this stage, you are super confident. But Ollelito here again, he's really pushing forward. He wants to have the second goal, and then we're starting to see the same scenario as we saw in the previous matchup, Dan.
And as much as I'm saying it's a mistake from Tom, it is really down to the pressure that Olilito is applying and where he's positioning his midfielders and strikers to try and manipulate the pitch in a way where Tom is really struggling to try and get out of his defence, if I'm completely honest, but that is going to be going in favour of #Tom, and maybe he can find something from this attack to get him back into this tight. It's down the right-hand side. No, it's just going to go out of touch, and, well, things aren't looking great for Tom, but Olilito certainly with a promising start to this game.
Definitely, and we speak a lot about the pressing play, and it all comes down to making your opponent think that he can pass it into a certain space where you know that you will have an advantage. It's about trapping your opponent, tempting your opponent to play it into an area of the pitch where you feel like you can make a tackle or an interception. And Ole has been brilliant doing that, and now we have a second.
Oh no, things have gone from bad to worse for #Tom as he yet again finds himself 2 goals down to Olilito. And you were saying about the temptation that Olilito offers up, and it was again another wayward pass from Tom that led up to that goal. It was a little bit earlier this time, but Olilito just seems ruthless going forward, not letting off whatsoever. And I'm a bit concerned for Tom's well-being at the moment, because the way this game's going, we could see 3, we could see 4. He needs to find another gear here if he's going to be getting back into this grand final, and maybe this could be the start of things. Or Cricketa from CR7 plays it into the middle. There's the Young that all these # players are using. Hullet will play it to Neymar, who will manage to find Hullet yet again, but the 1-2 is cancelled out. Maybe a second bite of the cherry. R9 to Neymar, back to R9, but a great tackle from Virgil van Dijk.
That's important tackle from Van Dijk in the last second. Could have been a goal if Tom would have just 1 millisecond time more to perform the shot, possibly the near post. But good for Tom that he's working his way up where he is so dangerous and where he has his forces playing outside the box, just outside the box. Really seen a lot of great solutions from Tom there, but he has to be super innovative now, because Ollelito, his defense just been flawless.
Well, at least Tom doing a little bit better to win the ball back, and showing the initiative that he wants to bring some of those strikers back on the pitch to try and win the ball back. But there's Olilito again, pressing in the right areas and winning it back with De Bruyne and stripping Tom of that possession. And meaning that Tom has to work twice as hard to try and get that ball back. But all this time, he's repositioning his players to try and cut off these angles. Olilito is trying to search for that final through ball, but this time not going to work out. And Tom can start to reassess how he wants to try and penetrate this defense again.
And he's reading the game so well, Ollelito, and his player switching is on point. Just take notice of the red cursor, how fast it's moved to another player and how fast he is at shutting down the gaps, closing them, making Tom work in very, very small areas of the pitch. Doesn't have a lot of space to play with, and that is because of Ollelito's player switching. Very, very high class and very, very good at anticipating the game.
Space on the right-hand side from Mbappe as the through ball will be able to get past the fullbacks, and he will just stretch those legs, and there is a pass in the middle. He falls. He's not going to be free though. For a minute, the stadium manages to put one in. Unbelievable scenes for Olilito. Heartbreak for #Tom. How on earth has Eusebio managed to get that one in, Aga?
I mean, it's unfortunate, but also fortunate at the same time. I mean, I probably think that Ole could or should have scored first one, but what happens after is very unfortunate for Tom, and definitely not the margins he needs right now. It needs to go with him. And for Ole now, yeah, we have pretty much the same scenario as we had in their previous matchup. And this requires so much mental strength for Tom. He's been tested today, and I feel sorry for him because it's not easy to cope with. If he would eventually turn this around, wow, what a champ.
Well, I mean, you're completely right. History is repeating itself. It was a 3-0 lead to Olilito last time, and then #Tom got a 90th minute goal back. And you were saying how important it is to make sure you don't have a bigger than 2-goal deficit going into this second leg. Why do you feel like that is the case? Why is it so important to be only behind by 2 goals?
I feel like there's such a big mental difference between 2 and 3, and also FIFA 20 haven't been on the competitive scene the most goal-scoring games, because we've seen every player improve very much defensively, and the meta have been, it's just been harder to create a lot of chances. Olilito is proving us wrong right now, though, but I mean, it's just so hard, and it's also a kind of mental thing to feel like, okay, if I'm only down with 2 and I score 1, the momentum can switch very, very fast. And then you only have to score 1 goal to tie things up. But if it's 3 goals, just seems so much out of reach.
Well, that has not gone the way that Tom would have wanted it to. 45 minutes in, and Olilito finds himself 3 goals to the good. It's palm to the forehead for Tom. It's a big discussion with whoever he may be speaking to here as well, and maybe he needs to have that discussion and try and dig deep, find something a little bit different, because, I mean, Olilito has crowned Tom the best player in the world, in his opinion, yet he is slapping him all over the pitch right now, Aga. I mean, are we just seeing a really dominant performance, and Olilito is one of the best players around right now?
Well, he has been for the entire season. I mean, he's proved that. He won the championship, and I'm not sure if he said the best player in the world on PS4 or if he said in the world. Regardless, it's a huge statement, and it's well-deserved for Tom because he had such a great season. The difference, I'll say, between these two guys is that Olilito has actually won a final, which... But there we have a quick response.
And that is going to be the perfect start to the second half for Tom. What a strike from Neymar. I mean, it's caught Olilito off guard there, I feel, but those are the kind of chances you need to create. Just the elastico to get away from the man. And that means it's game on, and this time it's an earlier goal for Tom here, Aga.
And exactly what he needed. I mean, now he has more time than he had in their first matchup where he scored in the end of the game. So, I mean, this is very important for Tom. The faster you can get the goal, the better, obviously. And yeah, my point before was like, I feel like the small edge between these two guys was that the Ole managed to win the final he was in at the FUT Champions Cup free. Well, Tom has been so consistent this year, but just lacked that last win to claim the title. And if you keep reaching those points where you're so close, it starts to really hit you.
Hold on
see
a
this
second,
one, and he's back.
It's another. You say he's come so close to getting that title. Well, he edges himself a little bit closer to potentially getting into this final. As now that's 3-2. And Olilito just couldn't clear his lines there. Tom wrestling the ball back away from him. Game on.
And yeah, as I was speaking about, that it can start to really annoy you mentally, that you're so close every tournament you go into, and you feel like you play well enough to actually win the entire championship, but you just need that one game. And if it keep repeating itself, it could be like a very hard cyclist going on for a player. So if he could get this relief now, I'm sure it would be amazing for him, and he will start winning more and more trophies, because the trophies are coming. The question is just, when is it coming? Is it coming today? Because right now he's starting one heck of a comeback.
Well, momentum definitely with #Tom. He's on the ascendancy here, and you can see it in his gameplay now. He's starting to pick up a little bit of pace and trying to work against what Olilito has been providing through the entire first half. And it's been quite the comeback, really, because he looked down and out. He looked pretty dejected, but here's Mbappe now. Will be a ball roll away from the man. There is a player in the middle, but he's not quite able to find him. Otherwise, that could have been a potential for a third and an equaliser as well, as Olilito not looking to slow this down. It looks like he's more than happy with the pace of this game, as R9 unfortunately can't be found by CR7.
And we really see Tom starting to play with very, very high tempo of the game, something he perhaps struggled a little bit to do in the game before and in the first half of this game. But now the game seems to be on his premises, and that is what FIFA at this stage is about, to make the game become the way you want it. And right now it looks like it's closer to 3-3 than 4-2.
Definitely does. Tom has had quite an amount of possession here now, and confidence oozing through his gameplay. He's more than happy to shift the ball from one side of the pitch to the other to try and generate that bit of space in the midfield. Here's De Bruyne finding Hullet now, but that final ball isn't quite getting there. Olilito doing very well to read it time and time again and just keep Tom at arm's length here, saying, look, I recognise that you're back into this final. I recognise that I do need to be a little bit careful, but he's still doing enough just to make sure he has a lead.
Definitely. But what I'm starting to see, he gets a free kick here and we will have a pause. What I'm starting to see is that after Tom scored the goal to 3-2, Olilito started to go down a little bit, sit a little bit deeper instead of continuing doing this high aggressive pressure, which works so well for him in, I'll say around 5 halves now they played. So he has to keep pushing forward and keep doing what he did so well in order to get the game back in his favor again.
Well, this has been the final that we all wanted, and I know that no one wants to be biased, but at the same time, I think everyone would love to see a second best of 2, just because it's not something we see very often in FIFA eSports. But Olilito with the free kick goes for that dink over again, which we saw in the previous winners bracket final, but this time not connecting with the head of CR7, which will allow #Tom in these final 15 minutes to have possession again, but it's another wayward pass that goes straight into the path of Olilito, and he could make Tom pay here, and that would not be good news for Tom, because if he keeps conceding these goals to mistakes, he's only going to beat himself up. R9, though, can't get on the end of that one.
It's also interesting to see their build-ups. For me, it seems like Ollelito prefers to build up on his fullbacks, which means that if he loses the ball out there, Tom still have more work to do and have to do more great plays in order to score a goal. But when Ollelito gets the ball high up on Tom's half, it's more like central areas where he can convert much faster and much quicker. And it's just interesting to see the two build-up kind of plays or go-to moves they have.
Well, Olilito maybe could make things more difficult for Tom here as we go into the final 7 minutes of this first leg of this grand final, and Neymar will get shoved off the ball by Hullet, and it is going to be another free kick for Olilito. And I wonder whether we're going to see the same creativity that we've seen from his previous set pieces. He does just try and dink it near the penalty spot with the oncoming run from Cristiano Ronaldo, but Virgil van Dijk denies it. But I love the attempt.
Definitely, and we see it. He manually picked Cristiano Ronaldo, and immediately when Tom sees that, he picks Van Dijk and tries to cover him. It's manual, and you have to be very cautious on these ones, because suddenly on just one set piece it can be a goal.
Olilito so close there to just breaking through, but #Tom showing a little bit more resilience in defence now as we get to the closing stages of this first leg. But there's another interception, more pressure from Olilito, and I'm sure he'd love to make this 4-2, but at the same time he wants to go into this second leg with a goal lead. So he's just going to hold on to the ball here, keep this possession so he gets the last attack, and even though Tom's trying his best to get the ball back, he can't seem to get a rub of the green. As now with just the last dying moments, maybe we can see something from Olilito here to really rub salt in the wounds as Mane on the right-hand side. Fake shot to R9, lays it across. It was a beautiful attempt, but Neymar not able to get on the end of it. And almost was 4-2. Surely the final whistle goes now of this first leg. The referee says no, he's still playing on. What is this referee even doing? It's going to be another attack for Olilito somehow. Mane with a fake shot away, plays it across, gets the La Croqueta, but great defending from Tom. Great resilience. All things considering, we went into 5 added on minutes when it should have been 2 there, Aga.
And if he drops that and gives Tom the win in this one, maybe he'll start to think, and then Tom has the extra mental boost, and then suddenly perhaps Tom will be the favorite for this match. But it's so hard to call this one because both players keep doing amazing plays and keep showing how good players they are. So it's a very tough one for me to call.
Well, there's extra incentive for Tom. He's got a dinner waiting for him once he does finish these games, but that dinner might have to wait if he keeps playing the way he was in those last remaining moments, because he certainly looked like he was going to bring this one back, as we will start our second leg then of the grand final. Olilito with a goal lead going into this one after a 3-2 advantage, and it's still going to be, of course, Tom in the yellow and blue of hashtag from left to right, and Olilito in the black from right to left. And the way that concluded and the way that first leg was, I honestly can't put my finger on where this final is going to go, but I can certainly promise you one thing: there is going to be goals.
And I believe you, Dan. I'm thinking exactly the same and predicting exactly the same. These guys are playing in a tempo that is very, very enjoyable to watch. They doesn't have any nerves, only confidence in their own abilities, and that the trophy is theirs. So, I mean, super impressive by both of these players for now.
CR7 doing a lot of work, tracking all the way back to join the defenders to ensure that the ball won back for #Tom, and now Mbappe tries to steamroll past the oncoming Hullet, but he's going to have to recycle the play back to Mendy, who joins the attack now. And that's something that Tom has done so well all tournament, is getting those fullbacks and ensuring and utilising them in his best ability. As Mbappe now with a ball roll. We'll find Mendy again. He's kind of stuck on this left-hand side and needs a little bit of support from the midfielders, but there's that penetrative pass from Mbappe to De Jong, but back he goes yet again, and patient build-up from Tom, but he's rewarded with Neymar on the edge! And Tom's right back into things. 3-3. I promised you goals, and Tom...
The balance, and all it doesn't get his player switched to the right player, and it gives Tom a lot of space. Therefore,
well, 3-3 here, and I mean, I think we knew that we were going to be in this possible situation, Aga. We knew that Tom had the ability to get back into things, but I am surprised that Olilito has thrown away a 3-0 lead, but that means that we are right back to square one. And I'm really excited to see how this one goes, as it is going to be Tom on the ascendancy and on the attack. As we just apologise for some of the frame-by-frame pictures right now, as I'm sure they'll sort themselves out shortly. But Aga, what a response this has been from Tom, and we can only respect the passion that's gone into his game. Is honestly, I didn't expect it.
Definitely not, and it sounds for me like someone just scored a goal in my ears. I don't know who did it, but I mean, if it's Tom, wow. I mean, with all the mental traffic he had to overcome for now, it's amazing. It's really admirable how he had turned the entire situation into something positive.
Of course, and we'll sort out these difficulties as soon as we can, Aga. But I'm so impressed with Tom's kind of ability to get back into this game. And as you can see, we rejoined the game, and Tom has been able to find a second goal to take the lead in this one. And I'll have to give you a little bit of radio commentary for a short while whilst this is sorted out. But for #Tom and for fans of hashtag all around the world, we can just kind of say a round of applause really for really having the ability to get back into this game. Not just because he was 3 goals down, Aga, but the fact that he had that power cut earlier. He would have been a little bit stressed going through all that situation, and yet he's still been resilient. And in this scenario, he finds himself suddenly leading.
It's a mentality of a champion, Dan. I mean, it's so impressive, and as we can see, as much as possible, he's just driving on. He's trying to get more goals. He's in the zone now. Things are clicking for Tom. And on the other hand, you got to wonder how are all this mental state right now, because when you had such an advantage leading 3-0, you only need to win this best of 2. You got to start thinking what is going on in his head, and yeah, it's just super impressive.
Well, this is why when Mark asked me earlier about the importance of winning that winners bracket final and having that game advantage or the best of 2 advantage in this scenario for Olilito, I did wonder if Olilito were to lose the first best of 2, does that technically give Tom the advantage? Because he's going to have that momentum, he's going to have planted that seed of doubt into Olilito's mind. And I guess we're going to see something a little bit different from Olilito now, as very rarely in this tournament have we seen him actually behind in a series. The only time we did was when he played Dami off stream and he went on to win that game in penalties. So we'll see whether he can find something similar here and maybe make a bit of a comeback against Tom. But it is just the 1 goal, Aga, and when it's a 1-goal game, anything can happen, can't it?
Definitely, and we're seeing comebacks. I mean, we are witnessing one right now, and that's also why we love this game, this sport, that these comebacks, they happen, and we see the quality of a player, and we see stories getting written and getting shown here, and it's just amazing to be part of it, really, and see how much it means to the players and how much adrenaline and how much there is on the line.
Well, we're trying to give the best commentary we can as we follow this one, but our pictures from our particular studios aren't the smoothest right now, so apologies from myself. But I mean, Aga, this is the final we wanted really between these 2 players. We didn't want to blow out, we didn't want to see Olilito just kind of dominate Tom and then be the champion that successfully. Instead, we've seen a real fight back from #Tom, and I'm very impressed. My biggest concern though is going into potentially a second best of 2 if Tom were to win this one, how much Olilito has in the tank, because it's very demoralizing, I feel, to know that you've thrown away a potential easier game in a grand final.
Definitely, and I mean, I'm having the same questions and thoughts towards Olle, but what I will say from my, I'll say, pretty short casting history and experience, that some other games I witnessed, for instance, in the E Superliga in Denmark, we had players who lost their first match where they picked themselves up mentally and went on to win the next match. So I wouldn't count Olilito out yet.
Definitely wouldn't count him out yet. I think that we might have seen or heard the halftime whistle go there. And I'm wondering in this second half now whether we'll continue to see Tom kind of attacking Olilito, because certainly Tom was making a lot of mistakes going into this first leg, and he was showing that, well, things weren't quite right for him, and Olilito was pressing and he was winning the ball back. But now going into the next 45 minutes of this second leg, can Tom continue this attacking mentality, or will he drop back? Do you think there's a case for him to just go on the slight defensive now he has the lead, Agger?
It doesn't look like he's going to try to defend this home. I mean, he seems like he wants more goals, and I think it characterized both players a lot that they're not on again. What a final. I'm so excited for this, Dan. It's been amazing so far. It's the best game we had, and of course it had to be in the final.
I mean, what a way to kind of round out the European FIFA 20 scene. And there's a lot of players that are saying this will be their last tournament in FIFA 20 and they'll just look on for FIFA 21. But of course, still lots of FIFA 20 action to come. This is only the first regional championship in the Summer Cup series. We have plenty more coming your way on twitch.tv/EA SPORTS FIFA, as De Bruyne now will play it through to Hullet. And again, Olilito managing to get these passes through, but doing a lot better to step up with his fullbacks, step up with his defenders, and trying to stop these attacks earlier from Olilito. And I think that's important, Agger, that he doesn't allow Olilito to get too confident back into this game.
Definitely, and a very important point as well, I think, is an honourable mention, at least, to say I've been trying to sit in a similar situation at a FUT, I believe it was back in FIFA 17, at a pre-qualifier for the FUT Champions Cup in Paris, where I had to play in a pre-qualifier in Sweden, actually, where I was in Olle's position. And
hold on a second, I hate to cut you off as you tell us about all your phenomenal stories as a player, but Olilito right back into things now and has regained a goal lead, and he has absolutely carved Tom's defence apart there. He makes it look so easy, Agger.
Yeah, it's great play again, and we see the formation change here. It's 4-2-2 from Ollelito, another formation a lot of the pro players like to switch to as a plan B if they want to press a little bit higher, have their camps to meet your opposition's fullbacks a bit earlier in the pressure. To end the story before was that if you are in the situation as Olle is, you also getting a little bit eager and desperate to try to just close the game down in the first matchup when you know you have two games, because you don't want to go into another match and having your opponent to gain huge confidence and getting the mental edge. So it can easily be reflected in your game style that you're starting to get a little bit desperate because you want to finish things quickly, and then you can come with some flaws and some mistakes, but Olilito just responding here, amazing.
Well, we had a pause for the players to have a little bit of a breather, and us casters to have a breather as well. And again, just want to apologise for any of the technical difficulties that we may have had a little bit earlier. All seem to have been ironed out now, so we can enjoy this final in all its full glory, as Tom needs to fight back yet again, but that's not going to be the attack he wanted. Just goes out for a goal kick. He was so close to be able to beat that man. Can Tom now find something even more? He's dug deep on several occasions, but Olilito just seems to fight back and seems to have an incredible passing ability about him right now. Before #Tom, here comes Neymar. Ball just to try and beat Hullet, but again, great resilience. But as I say that, Neymar gets the ball back, but Olilito still has it.
And it's getting into the very end now, and it's getting super interesting, super exciting, and time is running out for Tom. You still have the time, but something perhaps needs to happen. Olilito have cued a pause. Perhaps you want to go into something a little bit more defensive, a little bit more controlled.
We'll see whether he changes his style, but for now, we'll follow this attack because there was a chance for a through ball down the middle. Here's CR7 now, plays it through to Eusebio! And Olilito makes it a through-goal lead now and starts to get closer and closer to lifting that trophy. Of course, metaphorically lifting the trophy. When it gets sent to him, he can lift it anyway. 6-4 on aggregate. #Tom finds himself in a 2-goal deficit yet again, Aga, and it's going to be so tough for him to get back into this now.
This game has been amazing. I mean, it's back and forward. Ollie takes the lead. Tom replies, and we start thinking he's making the comeback of dreams. And then Olilito just replies and say, no, this title is mine. What a play again. And I like that he kept staying in the 4-2-2 despite having just 1 goal lead. He wanted to have this goal as well. And another time we see Eusebio coming out victorious for Ole, and a 2-goal lead now, and back to his 4-2-3-1. So it's really going to be tough now for Tom.
Well, the young Swede Olilito is really put on a show for us here. It looked like he was going to crumble at one point, but he's put himself together so quickly. And for Tom now, with only 15 minutes remaining, the big question is what he has left. Does he have another gear? Because I feel like he's gone into 5th, he's gone into 6th, he's even up into 7th. But Olilito has just responded and pushed him right back down to 1st gear. It's going to be a tough job for #Tom, but I guess there is still time, Aga.
There is still time, but he needs to be very precise now in his build-up. This attack is going to matter a lot. And if he loses the ball on Ole's half, he needs to get the ball back fast. Because if Olilito gets his play and his position established on Tom's half, he will start to run down the clock as he has to do. And then I don't think that Tom will have time enough to come back. This sequence here is going to be very interesting.
The offside flag raised in that potential last chance for Tom to get back into things. Maybe it's going to be his chances of a second best of 2 and his grand final hopes fading away. Or maybe this could be the attack. The through ball, though, cut off perfectly by Maldini. Olilito has been so good at reading those passes from Tom and made it so frustrating for Tom going forward, as the free kick will be called, which means more time to run down here for Olilito and less time for Tom to get back into this tie.
Oh, and he decides very dangerous pass here. He succeeds with it, and now Tom just have to... It's hard to say what he has to do better because he's doing everything he can, but it works for him here. Could he do something here then?
Has to be now for #Tom. The ball on the right-hand side was not the play for him. Instead, he's focusing down the middle. Now it's out to Carlos Alberto. If he scores here, there is still hope for #Tom, but he has to play flawless FIFA at this point. Here's R9, drag back, doesn't get past Virgil van Dijk. And maybe that is going to be it for #Tom. It has been such an incredible fight from him. The fact he was able to come back from 3 goals down. But Olilito has shown time and time again why he is such an incredible player, why he is arguably one of the best players around, if not the best player, and he's already celebrating. Olilito is going to be your European champion of the Summer Cup Series. It has been a phenomenal performance from him, Aga, and I don't think anyone can question